Welcome to today's deep dive. We were just looking through the stack of materials you sent over for today's session, and our mission today is to explore this really fascinating cultural anomaly from early 2026.
It really is. I mean, it's a fascinating snapshot, especially when you look at the global baseline right now.
Right, because the narrative is utterly dominated by
PI deepfakes.
right.
Yeah, and extreme economic anxiety triggered by all this technological displacement, not to mention the complex global conflicts.
Exactly. But underneath all that noise, the data shows a massive quiet surge in spiritual seeking.
Yeah, the source report, Faith in Action, highlights that Bible sales are up 87%.
Which is just a wild number.
It really is. And Gen Z church attendance is suddenly skyrocketing. People
Right.
are clearly hungry for something real.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that 87% jump makes a lot more sense when you look at how it's playing out on the ground.
You're talking about the story from Gainesville, Georgia.
Yeah, it really grounds this whole shift. So March 6th, 2026, a 40-year-old math teacher named Jason Hughes is accidentally killed.
He was a beloved community mentor, too.
Right. And it happened during a local high school tradition called the Junior-Senior Wars.
Basically a big toilet papering prank.
Yeah.
So a group of 5 students went to his house, and he actually knew they were coming.
He was waiting for them.
Exactly. He went outside to playfully surprise them. But it had rained.
The pavement was wet.
Yeah. And in the rush, he tripped. He fell into the roadway and was struck by a pickup truck.
And the driver was an 18-year-old student of his, Jaden Ryan Wallace.
Just a completely devastating accident.
Completely. And legally, the state doesn't really leave room for nuance here. Under Georgia law, Jaden was looking at first-degree vehicular homicide charges.
Which means 3 to 15 years in prison.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. You would normally expect a massive, drawn-out legal battle to follow.
Because our standard justice system operates on very dualistic thinking.
Right? A strict binary of victim versus perpetrator.
Exactly. A punitive approach is used to try and balance the scales through punishment. So the community was essentially bracing for a dual mourning.
Grieving the loss of Jason while watching an 18-year-old's future get completely destroyed.
Right. But just 3 days later, on March 9th, Jason's widow, Laura, issued a public statement.
And she didn't demand a harsh sentence.
No, she actually asked authorities to drop all charges against the teenagers,
She urged the community to extend grace and mercy.
pointing out that ruining the students' lives would completely contradict her husband's lifelong dedication to investing in youth.
It's an astonishing response.
Yes, they made a deliberate choice to prevent a separate, secondary tragedy. And if we connect this back to why this local story is resonating on such a massive national scale right now.
It goes right back to the cultural landscape we discussed earlier, that 2026 era of truth decay.
Right. When everything online is AI generated and everyone is incredibly skeptical of what they see and hear.
You literally cannot algorithm your way into the kind of raw, agonizing mercy Laura showed.
It is utterly unfakeable.
Unfakeable, exactly.
And that undeniable authenticity is the exact fuel for these massive youth movements. Look at the Unite US gathering at the University of Central Florida recently.
That drew 5,000 students.
Yeah, 5,000. These are young people who have grown up with constant digital manipulation. They aren't looking for polished rhetoric.
They are desperate for a truth that holds up even under the absolute worst human circumstances.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? Ultimately, it demonstrates that even in a highly digital, deeply skeptical world, authentic, lived-out principles of grace profoundly disrupt the cultural status quo.
It's one thing to talk about mercy, theoretically.
But watching a community live it out when it costs them everything completely shatters expectations.
It really does. And it leaves you with a fascinating question to consider based on the text.
Oh, definitely.
We talked about how restorative justice requires moving beyond that dualistic victim versus perpetrator mindset.
Right.
If this community in Gainesville can successfully apply that non-dualistic lens to a fatal, life-altering tragedy, how might abandoning strict good guy versus bad guy thinking transform the everyday minor conflicts in your own life?